Sun Tzu said, all combat is based on deception, and magic is the art and science of deception. The magician creates an illusion by controlling the minds of the audience. A swordsman creates an illusion by controlling the mind of his opponent. Real magic is the manipulation of physical reality by supernatural means. That's not what we're talking about right now. That's a whole different discussion, and best had on a windy, moonless night around the campfire with wolves howling in the distance. The magic we're talking about right now is magical illusion. That's the ability to make it appear that you're manipulating physical reality by supernatural means. But you're not. It's a trick. It's deception. Our premise is that all people act in accordance with what they believe to be true. Therefore, if you can control what your opponent believes to be true, you can control your opponent's behavior. Easy to say, but how do you control what your opponent believes to be true? Well, it's science. Scientia potens est, knowledge is power. And any science sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic. When a magician creates an illusion, there's a gap between the audience's expectations of reality and their experience of reality. In the gap between those two, the impossible becomes possible, and the audience experiences a moment of awe. When a swordsman creates an illusion, there's a gap between the opponent's expectations of reality and their experience of reality. In the gap between those two, the impossible becomes possible, and the opponent experiences a moment of ow. Let's look at 5 principles of magical illusion that we use with the sword. Misdirection is fixing your opponent's attention away from where the trick is actually being done. Distraction, diversion, making your opponent think when he should act, and making him think about the wrong thing at the wrong time. Sleight of hand is the skillful manipulation of objects. It's the most time-consuming part of a magician's practice. It's also the most time-consuming part of the swordsman's practice. Here's where doigté and sentiment de faire make it or break it. You must be able to make your sword dance in a very specific and very precise way. Now you see it, now you don't. Maybe we can think of a sword as a sharp 3-foot-long magic wand that you use to direct your opponent's mind. Psychology means understanding how the brain receives and processes information. What kinds of stimuli elicit what kinds of responses? What meaning does your brain make from what your senses perceive? How does it identify or construct patterns, and how can you use patterns to trap your opponent's mind? Big moves hide little moves. Loud moves hide quiet moves. Hard moves hide soft moves. Fast moves hide slow moves. Showmanship is engaging and entertaining your opponent's brain, using style to sell the illusion. And style is everything not directly required for correct technical execution. In magical illusion, a force is when the magician manipulates conditions such that the audience makes a choice that appears to be their own free random choice, but is actually predetermined by the magician. As a swordsman, you can predetermine your opponent's choice of defense by the manner and direction of your attack, for example. There are many ways to employ deception in combat. When you're weak, make your opponent believe you're strong. When you're strong, make your opponent believe you're weak. When you're far away, make your opponent believe you're close. And when you're close, make your opponent believe you're far away. When you're here, make your opponent believe you're there. That's sword magic. And there are countless examples. Maybe you know the one about how Odysseus made the Trojans believe that the Greeks had all gone home. Maybe you saw George Foreman convince Michael Moorer to stand in front of him. A favorite pirate tactic was making their prey believe that they weren't pirates, but somebody else, by flying a friendly flag, still known to us today as a false flag. In World War II, the Ghost Army used inflatable tanks and other hocus pocus to make the Nazis believe that the invasion was going to happen in the south of France, or in Greece, or any place but Normandy. In fencing, the classic 1-2 is when you make your opponent believe you're attacking in the high inside line, so he'll defend that line, and while he's busy doing that, you hit him someplace else. Somebody smarter than me once said, go far enough in any one direction, and you wind up right back where you started from. And when you're a child, you believe that everything is magic. And then you grow up and you learn that it isn't magic, it's science. But if you go far enough in that direction, you discover that science and magic are not opposite things. They're the same thing.